Good morning. Um, Here we are, Wednesday, middle of the week. We made it this far. So let's keep going. Um, Looks like another beautiful day. I still haven't really gotten outside to do any yard work, but I might do that today. We'll see. Um, I feel kind of slow getting started with some of these things. It's always like that, right? You look forward to the good weather, but then when it actually gets here, you're kind of like, now I got plenty of time. I don't have to rush, right? It's going to be nice for lots of days. Well, you know, you know how that goes, right? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. Let's see, we talked about attachments earlier this week, and we talked about how that works in relationships and with things. So, attachments, that is kind of an important thing in terms of obstacles to our yoga path. But so there's a sutra that talks about this. So we've talked about the Yoga Sutra, and we're going to talk a little more about that, I think, this year. Yoga Sutra is a book by Patanjali, who was a sort of yoga sage from thousands of years ago, right? Uh, and it's kind of a compilation of little bits of information, little truths, right? So sutra means thread, and so they're like little threads of woven knowledge, right? So it's one thread um, from this sort of big tapestry that is yoga, and it's there's a lot of translations of it that are some of them are more easy to read than others. Some are pretty dense. If you're interested, you can send me an email or something, and I'll give you my recommendation of some. But um, it's a good read. There's a lot. It's just a lot of little things, and each one is something useful. I try to go through every year and go through these sutras um, for myself, and trying every year, and you learn a little more, right? The things mean a little more to you as time goes by. And if you've ever reread books, um, not all books, but certain books that are really have a lot of good information, you'll find that it means something different to you as you change and as you um, get more knowledge. Things may make more sense to you as you read them, or you may understand them in a deeper way. So we have talked a lot, right, about the yamas and niyamas. The yamas and niyamas are the eight sort of, well, it's more than that, but it's part of the path, right? This sort of eightfold path of yoga. The yamas and niyamas are a very visible part of that, structuring how you act towards others and then how you treat yourself. Um, and the other sort of direct part of so those are sort of internal actions, right? So I'm trying to relate this to the other thing, which is what they call klesas, which is our obstacles, right? The obstacles to this. So there are some activities like asana and dhyana, dharana, these um, activities that we take part in that are part of our path. Um, the yamas and niyamas aren't so much activities as they are sort of internal type things. And the same thing with the klesas, they're internal sort of struggle that we have right? It's not, the struggle isn't sitting down to do your asana. It's every day, how am I going to treat people with kindness? How am I going to live my truth? So the obstacles, there are 5 of them, right? Five big ones. The first one is ignorance, right? Avidya, which is more than just ignorance in that we don't know about it, right? So it could be you don't even know about these things. You don't even know about the yoga path. So how are you gonna do it? You don't know anything about it. So maybe you do know about it, but you also don't really know and experience the nature of the world. You aren't aware of the self. You think you're kind of out here in the middle of nowhere by yourself. You feel lost. That is avidya, right? When you feel alone, when you feel forsaken, when you feel like no one is your friend and you've got no support structure at all, that is avidya, right? That's not true. The truth is that you have support all around you. The universe is rising up to help you and to support you. We just have to see it. We have to accept the help when it's given. We have to believe that, right? So that when we can get to there, we are getting past that obstacle. The next one is egotism, right? Egotism. So I think it is a mistake. Some people practicing yoga believe that yoga is about destroying your ego, right? This is not true. A healthy ego is a good thing. It is fine and good and right to feel proud of your accomplishments, to feel good about the things that you do, to understand your worth, right? Your value, the type of effort that you put into your life. This is all good, right? When this goes into bad is when we forget that we are not the source of this, right? We can be proud of the wonderful job that we did on our, let's say, our garden. What a wonderful job we did on our garden. What a gardener I am. I'm keeping all these plants alive. I am fabulous, right? Don't forget that there's a lot that doesn't have anything to do with you. What about the seeds? What about the plants? What about the rain? What about the sun? What about the life within the plant? What about your body? The fact that you can move, that you can walk, that you can do the things you want to do. None of these things were your doing, right? You may have helped along, right? You may be taking good care of your body, things like that. You can feel good about that, but know that it all goes back to that source, right? And when you know that, then you're healthy. It's a healthy thing, right? You're doing a good job, but you're just part of the team, right? There's a lot going on behind the curtain, right? Attachment. We've talked about attachment. We know how this can be damaging to us, and we want to again hang on loosely to those things. Know that they are temporary. They come and go. Be open to new things coming, and let old things pass on. Aversion. So aversion goes kind of with attachment. So attachment is, I love this, but aversion is, oh, I hate this. Aversion is just as bad, right? It's just as much of a problem. It causes us to be focused away from the self, right? Um, we're cultivating this contentment and this equanimity in the world, and aversion is just as destructive and disruptive to that state. So strong feelings about things aren't always necessary, right? Um, no one necessarily needs your opinion about things, right? You don't have to have an opinion about everything. You can observe things going on that you don't like or that you think are a problem. Um, but if they are of no harm to others, what difference does it make to you? You waste a great deal of energy um, getting worked up about these things, right? Um, the same thing about preferences, right? So we want to get to the point where we know we'll be fine one way or another, right? We don't have to have everything exactly the way we want it all the time. We can get by, right? Um, I remember, I have one child that is a very picky eater for sure, and the two other ones are a little more adaptable. And it's truly nothing that I did one way or another. It's just simply in their nature to be this way. But what I tried to always encourage with my picky eater was knowing that this isn't the end, right? This isn't the only meal you're going to ever have. If you don't like it, then have something else later. Um, it's not the end of the world if you don't get your way every single time. You can always do something else later. Um, the stakes get so high for some people that even a slight variation in their routine, in their diet, in their just day to day everything throws them for a loop. We don't want that, right? We don't want to be so fragile. We don't want to be so sensitive to everything that comes down the line. Um, we're building a resilience so that things don't knock us down as much. They knock us down a little less. And we don't fall down as far, right? We're going to come right back up. Um, so, cultivating equanimity, um, knowing that it's okay not to care about things, right? You don't have to care about everything. Care about the things that matter to you. Care about um, the issues that really um, mean something. Don't waste your energy observing, which celebrity gained weight this week, or whatever it is that the news is reporting. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And then the last one, fear of death. Right. This is a big one, and we talk about this in yoga a lot. That really one of the ultimate goals of yoga is to overcome this fear, not eliminate it, right? Because we are a physical being. We are going to have this sense of self-preservation, right? So you're not going to get rid of it, but to overcome it, to not have it drive you in your choices, the fear of death, right? We're not going to get rid of death, right? We can't do that because we are, a physical being. We can't stop that from happening. But we know we are the self. We are spirit. That is our true nature. And this physical body is just where we are now. When the body is gone, the spirit remains, and we go on. I don't know exactly where. The sutras would tell you we are reincarnated, and that is the belief of many cultures. Um, but not, many people believe we go on to heaven or go on to something else. I don't know. No one really knows for sure, but the constant theme is that we go on. There is a part of us that goes on. So when that is true, even though there may be fear and uncertainty about what's next, um, we don't need to. We don't need to. We don't need to have that because we know we're going on. And um, the better we know the spirit, the better we get in touch with who we really are, the less we worry about this physical body. Right? Physical body will come and will go. Um, what is important, the important part of you is what stays. So, how can there be fear? There could be, sadness and grief and regret, and all of those things that surround death. the change of state. But we want to get, at least, if not past the fear, at least to the point where the fear does not drive every decision that we make. That we are not in constant state of panic about this looming thing, right? Because it brings us out of the present. So if we are constantly in fear of this coming thing, how can we be here? We're always there. We're always thinking about this time in the future. Oh my gosh, at some point I'm going to die. Why am I doing anything? Why don't I just give up? There's a lot of things that go bad when we focus just on that. So again, this is what we are working towards. We're working towards understanding, feeling comfortable with the spirit, understanding the nature of our spirit, who we really are, and our place in this big wheel of life. Knowing that none of these obstacles are really important, right? They're just things we throw up to avoid the truth of our nature. So don't get sidetracked with them. Look at them one by one and see where you can improve, where you can kind of tame some of those. And just like everything else, it's a practice, right? We work on it. Some days we may have certain aversions or obstacles and feelings that come up, right? Some days you may be feeling very averse to things, or you may have a great fear of death, right? This was a rough year for people in that fear of death with the pandemic and knowing people who've passed away from it. It's scary, but it's also very real, right? I mean, if you and I know a lot of people who have experienced death this year, either themselves or someone close to them, for the first time, right? And in our culture, we are normally our death rate is pretty low, and we don't experience death firsthand often until we are, well into our later years. It can be very scary, very disconcerting when it happens. We think it's very abnormal and crazy. Oh my gosh, people are dying. Well, I mean, it happens. It has happened throughout history a lot. We aren't the first trying to come to terms with it. We won't be the last. But yoga can help us. Yoga can help us navigate this path and make some sense of it so that we appreciate where it is, but we don't let it dominate our life. Okay. So let's do some asana, working on another one of the limbs. That's another thing we can talk about is our eight limb path of yoga, which all of them are that's what I like about the idea of it being 8 limbs is it's like a tree. So in a tree, every one of those limbs is good and valuable. It's not the trunk, right? The trunk is the beginning. But each one of those limbs is equally as good as anyone else. So there isn't one path that is the only path to go. You could take any one of those paths or any combination of those paths. You're still going to get to the top of the tree. It's just that at different times in your life, different people will have more attraction to certain paths, right? And some people are just more suited to some than others, and that's good that there are so many different ways to get there. So sitting up tall, We're going to lower the chin down toward the chest. Let's stay here and breathe. Then lifting up the head, the chin. And then back to center, lowering the head over to the right. Make sure you're sitting nice and upright. Back to center and then moving left. And then back to center. Bring the head down and then move around, big circle. See how that feels today, right? If it's tight, maybe move slower. One direction and the other. And then we're back to center. Walk the hands out in front. And then hands behind you, fingers pointing away from the body. Squeeze the shoulders together. Gazing up. Back to your seat, arms wide. Take a deep breath and then exhale. Hands together. Inhale, bring the arms wide. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Lift the shoulders, roll back. And forward. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind. Sitting tall, deep breath, and then exhaling as you twist. Back to center, switch sides. And back to center. Tabletop. And then back on the heels for child's pose. And then moving back up. Okay, this was a bad choice for my knee. So you all be in tabletop. I'm going to be in tabletop with my knee up. And then we're going to walk the hands forward a little bit and lower down. Head turns to the side, arms rest. See if you can rest that left ear on the mat. Head back to center. We're going to set up for Sphinx Pose. So we've got propping up on the elbows. Hands are resting on the mat. We're going to squeeze the shoulders back. Steady gaze. And then lower down. Hands by your side. Head turns to the left. Head back to center. Let's leave the arms where they are. We're going to just flip the palms so they're resting on the mat. And then lifting up, head and chest, arms and legs. Lower down. Let's bring the hands out in front. You can just rest the head on the arms. Maybe bring the feet a little wider. You can turn the toes out, heels in, or you could do heels or toes in, heels out. Your pick. And as we're breathing here, notice the compression of the front body on the floor and feel how your body adapts to that. Widening through the side body, relaxing the back, letting the lungs expand. And then we're going to start coming back up. You can go tabletop to downward dog, or you could go upward dog to downward dog. And we're going to move from downward dog to high plank. We're going to do it 3 times. So inhale, we're moving forward to plank. Exhale. Inhale. And moving back. Once more. And then step the feet up toward the hands. We'll be in a fold. Rising up. And then standing tall. Breath in. And breath out. Let's do a couple balance while we're up here. Tree to stand. So we're starting on the left, right foot. Maybe a kickstand. Maybe you've got the foot up on the calf. Maybe a little higher, right? Keeping that knee rotated to the side. Steady with the breath. Gaze eye level or higher. If you feel steady, there might be extension through the arms, but see how that goes for you. And then bring it back down. Switch. Standing on the right. Again, whatever expression, right? We say expression of the pose. So we want it to be a happy expression, not a frown or a snarl, right? That's not the expression we're going for. So whatever version of this pose feels like you today, that's what you want. Bicycle out the legs. And from mountain, we're going to bring hands on the hips and then just lift up that right knee. Foot is flexed, nice and strong. Everything's sort of squeezing toward the center. Set the foot down, switch. And set the foot down, bicycle legs. We'll do one more. Let's step out into Warrior 3. So we've got our hands together. Stepping out first with the left. Take a breath. Doesn't have to be a big step, just enough to shift our weight into that left side. And then we're lifting up. So we're lifting that back leg. If we're only leaning forward a little, we're only lifting a little. Right? Think of it as a nice long line. You could bring arms out to the side if that helps you with your balance. See what is working for you today. And then set it back down. Ready again, this time stepping out right. And lifting. And then set the foot down. Back foot meets the front, bicycle the legs. And then come on down to a seat. Soles of the feet together. Sitting up tall. Take a breath. And then leaning forward here. Back up. Left leg is under with the knee pointing outwards. Right leg on top. Get yourself set up here, and then we're folding over that leg. Back up. Switch your legs around. So now the right is under, left on top. This is the one that's hard for me. Take a breath and fold. And back up. Both legs out in front. Breath in, arms overhead, and then fold forward. Back up, point and flex the feet. Rotate the ankles. And then back again. Bend the knees. We're lowering down on the mat. Take a few breaths. And we're going to do supported bridge. So heels are back close to the body. We're lifting up. Find a place for the block. Relax and breathe. And then back up. Resting on the mat, soles of the feet together. Take a few breaths. Knees to center, rock side to side. And then lowering both knees to the right. Back to center, both knees to the left. And back again. Extend the legs, hands by your side. And then lowering down. Till you rest on the mat for your Shavasana. Keep that relaxed feeling on the mat. Steady breath. Keeping yourself here in the present. Focusing on the breath, on the sensations in the body. Then beginning to move a little again. We'll make our way up to a seat, unless you just want to stay on the mat for meditation. We've got hands together, breath in and out. Thank you for taking time today for yoga and for your practice. I hope that you have a lovely Wednesday. Namaste. Okay. Moving right along into some meditation. Before you even know it, we're there. Staying in that peaceful space, focusing the mind in a soft way, something to keep you in this space. Okay, coming back to this awareness of everyday life. All right, so enjoy your Wednesday. I will be back tomorrow, and yeah, so have a great day.